Alrighty, so we are about a minute past the hour, so we're going to get started just to respect everyone's time. I apologize, I should have done a housekeeping slide. For this webinar, there is an option for Q&A, so please post your questions in the Q&A, and I have my colleague Andrea on the call as well, and she'll help manage those for me so that we can answer any questions you guys have. If you attended the webinar back in September, we're going to cover a little bit of the same stuff just to make sure that everyone has kind of the base understanding of what's going on, and then we'll cover some of the announcements that we had most recently this last month. So we're here to talk about the LARE update and the transition. So for the next thing I'd like to cover with you guys is kind of how we got here. So the LARE, the content of that exam is defined by what we call a job task analysis. So really it's just a massive survey that is administered to the profession that includes licensed landscape architects and what we call emerging professionals. So people who are seeking licensure and in that process, and can include students as well if they choose to participate. And so that is administered, and it kind of covers all the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you guys would possess in your job. That is done every 5 to 7 years. They can be sooner if your profession changes rapidly, similar to the IT world, and they can be longer if your profession changes slower. A good example of that is welders, so they do theirs further apart. And so then again, the purpose of this is ensuring the LARE is evaluating current practice and is relevant to the profession. So we conducted that survey back in 2022. So it was launched in January. We analyzed the results in March, and we had the final blueprint established in June and made those announcements and how that would impact the transition to the new blueprint in August. So kind of what are the impacts of this new change? Some of the content is being shifted, and so it's being realigned to kind of impact what we would call project flow, so how the projects typically work and the process in which you would do the different tasks. If you are in the testing process, sections 3 and 4 have what we call advanced item types. So those are like the drag and place items or the hotspot where you interact with a graphic. All of the sections will have advanced item types moving forward. They're going to be comparable in length. We're still finalizing the exact amount of time, but they'll be all around 3 hours. They'll be comparable in price, and we should know that pricing pretty soon, probably in the summer timeframe. And then we are actually going to be adding feedback by subdomain, and I'll kind of highlight that when we go over the blueprint. I'll highlight that so you can better understand what we mean by that. So the content equivalency. So if you're in the process, on the right here, you have inventory analysis, design, and grading, drainage, and construction documentation. Those are what we call a direct transition. So if you've passed 2, you'll get credit for the new inventory analysis and project management section. If you've passed 3, design, you'll get credit for the new planning and design. And if you've passed 4, grading, drainage, and construction documentation, you'll get credit for the new grading, drainage, and stormwater management. The one that's in combination are sections 1 and 4. So if you've passed 1 and you've passed 4, you'll get credit for the construction documentation and administration section. So that's kind of the crucial one, that if you're in the process, especially if you've passed section 1, you need to be focusing on section 4 during this transition and get that section finished. So one of the new announcements we had was the October 2023 administration. So we're still finalizing those dates, but they'll be towards the end of the month. And so you can test again on all 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in April and in August. And then you can have one more opportunity if you haven't finished section 4 in October of 2023. The new blueprint will roll out in December of 2023, and all the current format will not be available anymore. So as I mentioned, that additional administration is in October. Registration for that's going to open in September. It's going to be a very short registration window. We will get you results if you're testing in August, we will get you results for your section 4 exam from August in advance of that window. So if you would like to test in October, you can do that. It's only going to be available to candidates who've passed section 1, because this is for candidates who've passed 1 and are trying to get that section 4 completed so that they get credit for the construction, documentation, and administration. And only section 4 is going to be available. The other big announcement we had actually applies to candidates with 1 and 4 again. So what we're going to be doing is if you are unable, well, if you've passed section 1 prior to the announcement of the transition in October of 2022, and you have attempted section 4 at least once between the December 2022 and the October 2023 administrations, and you're unsuccessful and do not pass section 4, CLARB will be giving you a free registration for the test for the testing windows December 2023 or April 2023. So it's just one. So if you test in October of 2023 for 4 and are unsuccessful and don't want to test in December, you can wait until April. You'll still get that free exam, and it will be for the construction, documentation, and administration exam. CLARB will be registering you over the phone for this, and we'll be reaching out once we have the results of the October 2023 administration. And so we'll do that with you over the phone. The one thing to remember and kind of why we're doing this is candidates who don't pass sections 1 and 4 will have another section to take. They will end up taking 5 sections. So CLARB felt it was appropriate to do something to kind of assist you in your process. So what is CLARB recommending at this time? So if you've not passed, or if you've passed 1, you need to focus on 4. So CLARB strongly encourages you to move to section 4 and try to get that done. If you've not passed 4, at this point, you should not be taking section 1. If you've signed up for April for section 1 and didn't realize this and would like to cancel, just reach out to us and we can get you canceled for section 1, or we can switch you to a different section that you need to take. Continue on your path. You still have 2 administrations to continue moving forward, and sections 2 and 3 are those direct equivalencies. So taking them now makes perfect sense. So we're going to go, and I said chat, but hopefully you did it in the Q&A. We're going to go really quick into some questions because I kind of covered a lot, and then we'll go into the new blueprint.
Hey, Rebecca.
Excellent.
One question that came in, we had a typo, and it's the April 2024 admin for the free section. Correct? Yes,
I did typo. Yes, thank you. So it would be December 2023 and April of 2024 are the opportunities to take advantage of that free construction documentation and administration if you qualified.
Okay, a couple of questions that can have come in. Is there a section 4 offered in August of 2023?
There is, yep. And so you can take all 4 sections in April of 2023 and August of 2023. But October of 2023, you can only take section 4.
Another question, if we pass sections 1, 2, and 4 before next December, can we still move forward with taking section 3 to complete the exams? And I would assume that's after December.
Yeah, so if you've, for that example, if you've passed 1, 2, and 4, you would just continue moving forward and you would transition. And what would happen is it wouldn't be, quote, section 3, because there won't be section 1, 2, 3, and 4 anymore. If you have not passed section 3 and that's all you needed to finish, then you would be taking the planning and design section.
Thank you. Will reading material for section 1 and 4 still be relevant? I'm assuming for the new.
Sure. Yeah. So most of the books will still be relevant. They may shift around slightly because you may not need certain aspects for certain sections anymore. And the committee is actually working on that now. So I should have new resources available after their meeting in June.
Someone's asking if it's says, why shouldn't I take 1 and 4 together if they haven't passed both? Or is it, what are we advising, I guess, at this?
Sure. So, I mean, you can definitely take 1 and 4 together if you're comfortable with the content and you want to do that. That's totally fine. Just understanding that you have to pass both in order to get that credit for construction documentation and administration. And if you were to pass section 1 now, which is after October 2022, you would not qualify for the free exam. So just making sure that you are prepared and ready to do that, that's definitely your choice.
A couple questions here that have come in around if somebody hasn't started the exam process yet, which is it advisable to start with sections 2 and 3?
Absolutely. That's exactly where I would start.
Okay. So I was just, can you clarify how many sections of the exam there will be going forward in the new blueprint, which maybe will make sense, I think, in the next
Yeah, so
presentation, but
we'll keep doing chats and I'll go on and we can kind of talk
okay.
about the new blueprint and then we'll keep doing questions. So this is the future blueprint. It's still 4 sections. And so it's inventory analysis and project management, planning and design, construction, documentation and administration, and grading, drainage, and stormwater management. The subdomain feedback that I mentioned earlier is really kind of, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but so you'll get feedback at the project management section, at the inventory and data collection section, at the stakeholder engagement process, at the physical analysis, and at the contextual analysis. So you'll get feedback as to how you performed in those 5 subdomains in inventory analysis and project management. You'll get it at the 4 subdomains of planning and design, the 3 for construction, documentation, and administration, and then the 3 for grading, drainage, and stormwater management. And so we hope that will kind of help you understand the areas of which that you are performing well versus areas of weakness, so that if you do have to take it again, you kind of have a better understanding of where your areas to focus might be. So this is the key takeaways, but we can go back to some questions, Andrea, and make sure I've covered everything.
Sure, there are more questions coming in, so I was trying to answer in the chat. Some questions about when registration is, and those dates are always on our website, but specifically like April registration is obviously open now, but August will open in May.
Yeah, so August will open in about mid-May, and then as I mentioned, registration for October will open in September, so it'll be a short registration window.
Yes, a couple other questions. When should one take sections 1 or 4 if just getting started in the exam process?
My recommendation would be to wait for the transition. If you're just getting started, I would focus on 2 and 3. If you get done with 2 and 3, let's say you take them in April and you pass and you want to pursue further, I would take section 4, because section 4 does get you credit for, let me go back one slide. Section 4 does get you credit for the grading, drainage, and stormwater management section. So that section will transition even without section 1. So my recommendation would be start with 2, then 3, then 4. And then if you get all the way done and you want to take section 1 in August, then that's great.
Okay. I think hopefully for this one question that came in, you clarified there are still going to be just 4 sections of the exam. And just to clarify, there was not any sort of oral exam as part of the LARE. So.
No, I'm assuming that is coming from maybe a jurisdiction specific. There are jurisdictions that have their own exams. I believe one might be oral. I'm honestly not familiar with which one it is. But I would just reach out to your licensure board and ask them about if they have a state specific exam.
Okay, I think this one question that came in is asking about chances to take section 4 possibly. So maybe just clarify, Rebecca, in the current format, section 4.
Yeah.
How many chance, like what are the,
how many attempts?
Yeah, how many attempts would there be in the current format? And then when that transitions, if somebody did not pass section 4, maybe the free exam, explain that a little bit more, I think.
Sure. So
clarification there.
So if you're attempting to finish section 4, you have this April exam of 2023, you have the August of 2023, and you have October of 2023. So 3 attempts to finish. If you're unsuccessful and you've passed section 1, I'm assuming you've passed section 1, then either in the December 2023 administration or the April 2024 administration, you would be able to take the construction, documentation, and administration exam for free, 1 attempt, assuming you qualified. So that's assuming that you met the qualifications that we outlined, both in your email and in this presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Can you clarify a little bit more about the feedback that candidates will get when they missed a question? Or
Yeah, so we're still working on that, kind of coming up with the best way to give you feedback, but basically ultimately it's going to tell you how you performed in that subdomain. So in project management, it's going to kind of give you some guidance as to whether or not you were strong in that area or weak in that area. Inventory and data collection, were you strong in that area or weak in that area? So we're still kind of scoping out the best way to provide that feedback, but that's what it's going to indicate to you. It will not tell you which questions you got wrong. It will not tell you how many you got right or how many you got wrong. It'll just tell you if you were strong or weak in those areas.
okay. Let's see. So can you again just cover to get the free exam section in that December 2023 or April 24? Can you go over that, what those requirements would be for somebody to qualify for that?
Absolutely. So here are the qualifications. So you must have passed section 1 prior to the announcement of the transition. So that we said October 2022 because the August window was August and September. So that encompasses anybody who would have passed section 1 prior to the transition being announced. Okay, so you had to pass prior to October of 2022. You must have at least attempted section 4 once during this transition. So that's December 2022, April 2023, August 2023, or October 2023. You obviously must have not passed because that would be the only reason that you would need to take it. And then you must use that free administration either in, and this is where the typo is, either in the December 2023 window or the April 2024 administration window. And then obviously the technical Clarabel registry over the phone. But those are the qualifications. If you have questions about whether or not you would qualify, feel free to reach out and I'll look you up and I'll let you know.
Thanks, Rebecca. Clarifying a little bit, I think with one of these questions is for the October admin, do you have to have attempted section 4 during this transition time? Or if you just haven't passed section 4, can you take it in
No,
October?
October 23 can be your attempt. That's fine. If you want to wait till then, I discourage that just because that's your last chance. But if you want to wait till then, that's totally fine. That's up to you.
Okay. Maybe just clarifying again our suggested order if for people that haven't
So if
started
you've not
using
taken anything, nothing, you're just coming in, I would start with section 2 and or 3, depending on how many you want to take at a time. So I would do 2, 3, then 4. And then if you have time, 1 last. And if you only get 2 and 3 done, like if you wanted to take, we know a lot of candidates take them one at a time. So if you wanted to take section 2 in April and section 3 in August, then I would just wait and not take anything else and then take it with the new blueprint and take the 2 new sections that you would need.
Okay, thank you. We've covered a lot of the questions that have come in. Yeah, for somebody in the middle of the process, once we get to December of 2023, kind of that'll be the new blueprint.
Yeah.
Maybe just clarify at that point, what's our recommendation for how they move forward?
So at that point in December 2023, following the October window and when we know kind of everybody's status, kind of where everything fell out, you'll be able to see and you'll be able to get information about kind of where your transition is, so you know what sections you have left. And so then you would just continue to pursue licensure with the sections that you have remaining.
There's some question around costs for the exams, and I'm assuming that's in the current blueprint or maybe going forward. There's not quite clear, but maybe talk about cost of during this transition time.
Yeah, so the fees for the exam the current fees are posted on our website. I believe 1 and 2 are $385 and 3 and 4 are $610. Moving forward with December, all the prices will be comparable because the exams will be about the same length, about the same time. And kind of that goes into the impact of costs. We don't have that yet. So we will be having that in like mid to late summer is when we'll kind of know those fees and be able to announce those fees, so that you know what the structure is for the December 2023 administration.
Okay. I think this one question is related to why August 2023 results matter, and I would,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So we just wanted you to know that if you're testing section 4 in August of 2023, we will get you your section 4 results before the October window if you wanted to try again one last time. So we just wanted candidates to understand that if you can test in August 2023 and still test in October for section 4 if you need to. And so we'll make sure you have those results in time.
Okay. If someone passes section 4 in the current blueprint, what credit will they be getting in the new blueprint?
Sure, let's go back to this one. Sorry. My goodness. So if you pass section 4 by itself, you get credit here in the gray. You get credit for grading, drainage, and stormwater management. My goodness, sorry. If you've passed 4 and 1, then you also get credit for construction documentation and administration here in the blue. So section 4 is being split up. And so half of it would get you, roughly half, would get you credit for grading, drainage, and stormwater management. And the rest of it gets you credit in combination with section 1 for construction documentation and administration.
Thank you, Rebecca. There's quite a few questions around the feedback, and in a couple different areas, like when will it start? If will it be kind of like retroactive if somebody has taken an exam in the current format? And I guess that's, and when will it start, I guess?
So it starts with the new blueprint. So it'll start in December 2023. That's when we'll be able to do it.
And it will not be retro, like
will not be retroactive. No.
Yeah, if you've taken an exam in the current format, it will not have that feedback.
It will not.
Okay. If someone passes all 4 sections in the current blueprint before the end of that October admin, what does that mean as far as them going on and getting licensed?
Go on and get licensed. If you finish the exam, you're done. Yeah. So if you finish all 4 sections, you're finished. You don't have any transition. You're out of here.
Okay. It's been a couple questions around online access to the exam. So maybe just clarify currently what we offer and what will we be offering going forward.
So it'll basically be the same. So you can do online proctoring now with PSI. And so that's available to you as the modality when you sign up and schedule your appointment. You'll have the option to either pick online or on site, I think is what they call it. And so you can choose to do online now, and then that will be available moving forward as well.
Thanks, Rebecca. There's also some question around accessibility modifications, examples being like wearing earplugs to focus, flexibility of like moving around during exams. And I'm assuming this is mostly for the online, because I know there's a little bit more requirements for online testing. So maybe, I don't know if that's something you can answer, if there's something specific, if someone has that they want to reach out, and I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So I think if you have an accommodation that you need for accessibility, then I would reach out to us, because I think it's hard for me to kind of give general answers. We do follow ADA and we do provide accommodations based on your situation. And so you would just need to reach out to us, and we can work with you to get you the accommodations you need.
Thanks. If someone just needs to pass section 4, that's their last exam section, and they don't pass it, even with the free section offered in December or April, what are the new exam sections that they'd need to take?
Okay, sure. So I want to, based on what you said, and I'm not looking at the question, but I want to clarify. So the free section in December 2023 and April 2024 is not section 4. Okay, so the last chance to take section 4 of the current blueprint is in October of 2023. If you do not pass section 4, you will be required to take these two sections, the one in blue, construction, documentation, and administration, and the one in gray, grading, drainage, and stormwater management. The free exam in either December of 2023 or April of 2024 would be this blue, construction, documentation, and administration section, which is a combination of the current 1 and 4.
Yes. Not quite sure I understand this question, but maybe this will make sense to you, Rebecca.
Sure.
Does the blueprint shown in your slide reflect the 2023 CLARB orientation guide beginning on pages 8 to 11 for at least section 2 and 3?
The blueprint showed
Or the new blueprint?
here is not in the orientation guide. The blueprint in the orientation guide is the current blueprint. This blueprint you see here can be found and is accessible on the transition page of our website. So you can look at that in advance, but just bear in mind that this is not the current exam. So this is for the future exam in December 2023. If you are testing in April, August, or October, you need to use the blueprint in the current orientation guide available now.
Okay. So if somebody is just starting and let's say they take sections 2 and 3 in April and August of this year, at that point, what do we suggest that they take next, or does it really matter because we'll be in the new blueprint?
Yeah, so starting in December, in 2023, you can kind of just take whatever you want. If you've passed 2 and 3, this green and yellow, you would get credit for green and yellow, and then you would have the gray and the blue left. And so you can just take them however you feel.
Okay. So if someone can't take say they haven't passed section 4 yet, and they can't take it in October of this year, will there be another opportunity?
No. So you would have this April, August, or October. So you have those 3 attempts to take section 4. If you can't take it at all, then just reach out to me and let's talk about it.
Okay. And same with if somebody hasn't passed section 4 and they've tried in August, they can then in October they will have another chance with the current
blueprint. Yeah. In October would be your last attempt.
Okay. There's a couple questions around, I guess, study materials and study groups and all of that. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, Rebecca, on CLARBs?
Sure. So for CLARBs resources, if you're on our website under the Take the Exam, kind of the green section of the website, there is a little box that says in this section, and you can access the orientation guide, you can access the resource list, and I believe there is also a link to ASLA's content. And so those are kind of the 3 areas in which we direct candidates. I do know that there is the LARE Google group, and I do know that I believe they create kind of their own study groups. So you can also do that if that's something that interests you.
Okay. This is a good question that I think we haven't covered yet. Would the format and the content of section 3 of the exam be any different in the new blueprint compared to the current one? And this might be relevant to all sections, but they asked specifically about section 3.
So can you repeat it one more time?
Sure. Would the format and the content of section 3 of the exam be any different in the new blueprint compared to the current one?
So the format in section 3 will be the same as the planning and design section coming forward. I would look at the LARE blueprint in detail because I brought up to the subdomain level. So under each of these is more description in the actual blueprint that you can get on our website. So you'll want to look at that because there are probably slight changes that you'll need to be aware of that are still in the planning and design section.
This is maybe not as relevant to the well, maybe. Okay. Question is, if I get licensed in Virginia, can I take my or I guess planning to get licensed in Virginia, can I take my test in other states? If I move between the transition, I'm wondering if where I take my test matters.
Okay, so physically where you take the test does not matter. So you can go to any PSI center, you can take it online from anywhere you want to take it. The only thing that would matter is if you're seeking licensure in Virginia, when you register, it's going to ask you where you're seeking licensure on the LARE website, and you'll need to say Virginia. But then when you go to the PSI website to schedule your appointment, you can pick anywhere you want.
More specific question around, again, not transition related, but test centers and just how close they are to candidates and all that, and what are.
Sure. So if you go onto the website, you can under register, I think it's the 4th step, there's a little link to PSI's website that helps you look for a center. So you can go onto their website and put in your parameters and find the closest centers to you, and it'll also show you kind of roughly the appointments available for that administration. Just bearing in mind that that's a live site, and so if you were looking at it today and then you come back tomorrow, that appointment might be gone. But you can definitely kind of get an idea of what's available.
Yeah, and when test centers aren't as close to some folks in the US and Canada, what options might they have for?
Yeah, so if you don't want to travel to a test center that's further from you, there's the online proctoring option that you can take advantage of.
Okay. Just a reminder, this will be recorded and we will have it on the website, which is the URL is clarb.org/exam changes. So we will put the recording on that website for everyone.
I can even jump to here.
Oh yes, and there's
I'd like to scan a little, I think those are called QR codes. If you'd like to scan that, that'll take you directly to that transition website.
I think still some repeat questions, but worth, I guess, maybe re-emphasizing here the order that we recommend people, if they have not started the exam process, what is our recommended order at this point?
So if you've not started, it's 2 or 3. So start with 2 or 3, do both of those first. And then if you get those done and you have time and you want to move on to 4, that would be your next step. But 2 and 3 are the starting point. And you can always reach out and ask if you have questions while you're in it.
Okay. If someone passes sections 1 and 4 prior to August of 2023, what credit would they be given in the new exam blueprint?
Absolutely. There we go. So if you passed 1 and 4, you'll get blue and gray. Construction, documentation, and administration, grading, drainage, and stormwater management. And this little graphic is also available on that transition website. So you should be able to see that and kind of can put them together and see how it's going to work out for you.
Okay. And I know we've answered this one. And so if somebody does not pass section 4 by the October of 2023 admin, when you try and take it in the new exam, it will be the new exam blueprint starting December 2023.
Correct.
So for already just kind of clarifying that. So if someone does not pass section 4 before we go to the new blueprint, would they have to take 2 additional sections?
No, they would take 1 additional. So if you look at this, right, if you've not passed section 4, you would have to take grading and drainage, which is 1 section, same as 4 that you have left, that 1 section. And then you would also have to take 1 additional section, construction, documentation, and administration. Now it's an additional section, assuming you passed 1. If you didn't pass 1, then there's no additional anything. It's the same. So the only people who have to take 5 sections are people who pass 1, but don't pass 4.
Okay. So there's some questions, they're more just general exam related. Would you like to answer them?
Sure.
Is that okay? For test taking, can maybe explain why we've moved to the digital note taker versus the paper and pencil?
Absolutely. Yeah, so when Clarva launched online proctoring during COVID, we could kind of get away with a little bit of inequity between the modalities. But best testing practices and all the standards kind of say modalities have to be equivalent. And so in order to allow online testing candidates to have access to some type of note-taking device or a calculator or things like that, they couldn't have physical things in their home or their office because they were online and only being monitored over a computer. And so in order to make them equitable, we had to make the devices and the access the same. And so that's why regardless of modality, you have access to the digital whiteboard and the digital or the online calculator.
Thank you. Maybe not necessarily, well, I guess a question just around resources. We have those YouTube videos of our what the exam process is like in person. So just a note of, will we be providing a similar video for online exam process, which I think is a good suggestion.
Yeah, we can look into it. We tried it, but we run into kind of some security challenges with that. It's hard for me to, you're not allowed to bring a camera and neither am I. But let me reach out to PSI and see if they have something we can share. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah. So I think we've answered that all exam sections are online and will continue to be offered online. But a question here around if something happens during your online exam, your remote proctored exam, kind of what are steps to take, or kind of what are the next steps then? If it's,
sure.
I assume if you get completely shut off and can't get reconnected in the time frame.
Absolutely. So they will try to relaunch you if you have an issue, like if your internet drops or something like that. And if you can get connected to tech support, they can try and help and get you back online. But if you end up not being able to get online, please reach out to us. You can open a ticket with PSI, that's great. And we can reference that, but it helps us to kind of manage and support you better if you include us in those communications. You can copy us on emails you send to PSI, or you can send us a separate one, however you feel comfortable, but definitely let us know if there's an issue, and we will work together to get that resolved. But do understand that if you lose connection with online proctoring due to internet, then that's not going to be something that we can fix. So internet is your responsibility, internet bandwidth. The system test will test your bandwidth at the moment that you run it. However, the exams, especially section 4, is 4 hours. So you can have influxes in your internet during that time. So you'll want to make sure you kind of track how your internet influxes and drops and brings back up, and kind of the times of day that yours is the most stable, or get access perhaps to a hard line to help stability there, because internet strength and bandwidth is definitely the candidate's responsibility with online proctoring.
Thank you, Rebecca. Will CLAR provide new study material relevant to sections 1 and 4? In
terms of resource books, yes, we'll be updating those. We are also working on some short practice exams that we are hoping to have available at the end of the summer prior to the December exam. And so you'll be able to access kind of a short practice test for each of the 4 sections.
Thanks, Rebecca. Maybe just clarify again how people qualify for the free exam question, and it's relevant. A question here that's kind of related to that is, so if you do not pass section 4 by October of 2023, you would have 1 free exam in December of 23 or April of 24, but you would also need to take section 1. So again, I feel like that's relevant to the free. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but you wouldn't. Okay, you wouldn't take section 1. All right, so yes. It's really important when thinking about the transition that we drop the 1, 2, 3, and 4 when we're talking about the new blueprint, because it's going to get super confusing. So that's why we've been trying to just use the names. So here are the qualifications for the free exam. So this is a free construction, documentation, and administration exam, which would be the quote, fifth exam for a candidate who passed one and did not pass four, okay? So you had to have passed one prior to the transition. So basically prior to knowing that this was an issue, okay? You must attempt section 4 at some point during this transition, okay? If you attempted it in December, just last, I don't know, month and a half ago, then that's the one attempt. That's great. If you attempt it in April, that's great. So just one attempt, okay? You obviously didn't pass section 4, and then you must use it either in December or April of 2024. So this will be for people who passed the current one, did not pass the current 4. They'll be required to take construction, documentation, and administration. Now, in addition, it's not really an addition, but please note that it's because you're getting a 5th section, all right? So if you pass 1, 2, and 3, that means you've completed 3 of the 4 exams. But if you don't pass 4, come December 2023, I wanna make sure I don't mess up the dates, you would only have completed 2, the green and yellow, because the transition required that you pass 1 and 4 to get the blue one. So you'll end up having 2 sections left. And so that's why you would be qualifying for that free exam, that construction, documentation, and administration. So if you do not pass section 4 and you passed everything else, in December, you would be required to take construction, documentation, and administration, and grading and drainage and stormwater management. You would have to take both of those sections.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. And maybe just emphasize again why we're recommending the order of sections 2, 3, 4, 1 if somebody's just starting out.
Okay, so 2 gets you the new green, new inventory and analysis and project management. 3 gets you the new yellow, planning and design. Okay, so those are direct correlations. You pass them, you get credit, it moves forward, lovely. Okay, if you pass 4, you still get credit for 1 section moving forward, grading, drainage, and stormwater management, the gray. Okay, and then if you have time and you pass 1, then you'll get the blue. Now, if you don't want to retake any content, then I would stop at 2 and 3. Okay, so if you don't want to have to like retake anything that you've already passed, then I would just take 2 and 3. But what we're saying in terms of the order is you won't have to take additional sections if you do it in that order, right? So 2 is new green, 3 is new yellow, 4 is new gray, and 1 and 4 is new blue, okay? So just that's why we're recommending that order. If you start with 1 and you don't get to 4, 1's not going to be helpful, right? 1 doesn't transition by itself. So that's kind of the section that doesn't make sense to take until you've passed 4.
Okay. So I'm just reading this last question. While I do that, can you maybe, as we wrap up kind of on questions here, we're getting close to the end here, can you maybe share if people have questions, maybe they're more specific or just still have questions for us, who can they contact or how can they,
absolutely,
how can they contact us?
Jump to the end here. So shoot us an email at info@clarb.org. That's also our phone number. You can call. My staff is prepared and happy to help you. If you get a question that they don't know, they know who I am. And so they will reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you as well. We're here to help you guys and navigate the transition and do it the most effective way possible. So please reach out. And, you know, if there's, even though I'm trying to monitor the Google group a little bit because I'm seeing some misinformation go out. And so I'm trying to correct things as I see them. So if you see something that you think's not right, reach out to me and I'm happy to provide clarification. I'm happy to also share that on the group if that would help you guys.
Thanks, Rebecca. And our last question here, because I think haven't been many more coming in here. Just around registration deadlines, we do have hard deadlines for when registration is open and closed, just to clarify that, and that those are online on the website. You can see those dates, but maybe if you just want to clarify roughly when those dates are, or if you have exact dates, share for at least the April admin. What's our deadline here? I forgot off the
Hold
top of
on.
my head too.
So basically it's the week before the admin. Okay, so that's typically when it is. So this time would be March 27th. So the deadline would be March 27th. It is a hard deadline. So make sure that you get signed up before then. Now I will also caveat that as saying waiting till then can be risky from an appointment standpoint. So just be careful, especially not really online, but especially if you want to take at a test center, appointments fill up. And so just if you're a week out, there's a good chance you're not going to find something that you like. And I will also plug, we do share things on Facebook, we share things on Instagram, we share things on Twitter. So if you want to follow us there, you can get live updates there as well. We do tips during the exam admin window to kind of remind you to double check your appointment, remind you to have your IDs, just things, tips and tricks to kind of remember during your, that window and that time when it's easy to forget because you got a lot going on. And so that might be helpful too if you followed us on those groups.
That is all of our questions. So hopefully.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will get this posted to you guys as soon as we can. And we thank you so much for coming. Have a great day.